Going to be releasing a little bit of my testimony for, I think it's Elaine. My testimony is actually like a lot longer, but I wanted to make a quick video to answer your question. So this is just part of it. But you talked about dreams, and when I was a young girl, I had dreams also. I'll give you the example. I had one dream where this was back in I think I was like 7 or 8. No, I had to be older than that. Yeah, I think I was about 7 or 8. Anyways, I had a cousin that came over from Honduras, and he was maybe a couple years younger than me. Yeah, maybe like 2 years younger than me or so. And I have a cold, sorry. And so, my dream was that, I don't know if you guys remember the blob, you know, the red, like, gooey thing, Play-Doh looking thing, gel, I don't know. And it would, like, get on people and attack them, or what have you. Well, at that time, I don't even think the movie was out when I actually had the dream. And maybe it was out, but I hadn't seen it yet. So it wasn't even like that the movie triggered the dream or anything like that. And I'm pausing because I want to make sure I'm remembering correctly, and then plus I don't want to say the wrong thing. So I in the dream, it's in the neighborhood where I lived, and the street was kind of like on a slant a little bit, and there was cars. I remember one time there was some dogs that came like out of nowhere, and me, my aunt, who was only a few years older than me, and my sister had to jump on a car to escape the dog. My sister was very little, and instinct was to jump on the car, so neither one of us grabbed her, so she ended up getting bit and scratched up. She's okay, but at the time, oh, and by the way, Elaine, I don't mind if you're laughing. I don't know if I'm funny or not, but if I am, that's cool. If not, okay, you know, but if you find something funny in what I say, that's okay. I don't mind. I think laughter is healthy, even if it's about a story that I've told, even if it's a tragic story. Like, after the fact of a story being told, like, it can be funny because now you're okay and you've survived the situation, but I don't take too much personally. So sorry, my throat. So in the dream, the reason why I tell you about the dogs is because I wanted you to picture, like, the cars and like what age this is, like what age I am. I'm tall enough to where I can stand by the car and jump on it, but not very tall, because I remember it was kind of like a struggle to get up. But and the reason why I tell you that is because that's kind of the scene. Is we were by this car, and the blob was coming down the street, down that steep. And I remember at the time I didn't know about the blob, but I knew it was not normal to see like this big thing oozing down the street, and it was red. And my cousin was nearby, and I told him, you know, hey, his name was Raul. Raul, watch out. And he was kind of just standing there like, huh, you know. And then I was like, watch out, Raul. And at that point I had ran like towards the house, and I don't know, it was almost like he got scared and he kind of got frozen, and the blob got him. And I remember watching it, and I was just like, no, and I saw the blob kind of, he was backed up against the car, and I saw the blob kind of, go on him. And at that time, I had several dreams that had come true. And so I remember praying to God, and I was raised Mormon, by the way, and God freed me from that cult. But at that time, I was having conversations with God, but I didn't fully come into my Christian walk yet because I wasn't aware of Christianity. I was just aware about Mormonism, and even though that's the church that I went to, I know that the conversations I was having with God were authentic conversations that I had with him, and that's why he was able to bring me out of the cult. Anyway, so I would ask him about these dreams that would come true, and I would say, make them go away. I don't want to know this stuff. Like, why do I know this stuff? It doesn't seem to stop anything, because I noticed no matter what I did, these dreams would come true. And I remember on that one, I said, with that particular dream that I had, I went and told his sister, because I figured, okay, maybe it's because I forget to tell somebody, and then it comes true because nobody knows that I've dreamt this dream. And if somebody knows I've dreamt this dream, it's not going to come true, because then that would make me kind of like have these powers, and maybe God doesn't want people to know that I have these powers. And so if I tell somebody, then it won't come true. Then this is me thinking in my child mind, And so I told my cousin, I said, it's very important. You have to remember that I had this dream, because I don't want it to come true, and I don't want Raul to die. Now, nothing happened, for like many, many years. My cousin forgot about the dream. I had forgotten about the dream. And then my cousin graduated from high school, and he's kind of a cartoon kid, the big cereal bowl in front of a TV watching cartoons kind of kid. And so funny. I hope I don't cry, because I miss him even to this day. But the funny thing is, God blessed me with a son that's a lot like him. It's funny. So anyways, he was so much fun, and I don't want to cry, especially right now. I'm supposed to be getting ready for work. So where was I in my story? Oh, the blob got him, and I told his sister, and I told her not to forget. But we both forgot, and then he graduated from high school, and he wasn't a big social, he knew a lot of people, but he wasn't very, I don't know what to call it, I think he still felt very alone, even though he knew a lot of people, he was popular, but I think he still felt very alone. Anyway, so he wasn't a partier, he was kind of like a homebody, and so I remember him being excited because he started hanging out with guys and going out, and he wasn't very experienced at that, or at girls, or at the social interactions between boys and stuff. So say that after the club, they went to another county, a county that's not a very safe county. If I would have known, I probably would have tried to stop him. And he went out not knowing, and there was a lot of gang activity in that area. And he's not a gang member, at all. He was into school. And he Mormon again, and had wanted to go to the mission and stuff. So he came out of the club, and I guess there was some sort of argument already happening that had nothing to do with him. and it was kind of happening in the same vicinity. A friend of his might have been involved in that situation with a girl. It had to do with a girl. I'll read you guys the this paper I found that the Lord led me to one day that kind of tells details. Anyways, this guy was on drugs, and he basically, long story short, killed my cousin. He chased him down. He stabbed him, but he chased him down, and the story was that my cousin ran, and he was a little chunky, not fat, but just a little on the heavier side, not thin. And he was running, but I guess he either got, I don't know, like he decided to try to fight. So he turned around. I think he got stabbed once, and then tried to run again after that to the car. I might be messing up the sequence of events, but at the end, what happened was he made it to the car, but so did the guy, and the guy stabbed him in the car. So it happened a lot like that dream where he ran to the car and kind of turned back around, kind of like in an attempt to fight for his life, and gets taken by this guy, which would have been the blob in my dream. So there was a lot of blood in the car, and that's how he passed away. So that's not the only dream. That's just the one that I will never forget, because I remember going to my cousin and saying, we didn't remember the dream, But I'm not really sure the purpose, other than to tell this story now. I don't really understand the purpose, and there's some things we're not going to understand. I remember recently, stuff starts coming back, like things that I know starts coming back, and I asked God, why do I know this stuff? What is it that you want me to do, since people aren't going to remember or believe what I say? What do you want me to do this information? And this in particular was about Obama being president, because he had revealed to me that he was an antichrist, not the antichrist, but an antichrist. And so I was like, what do you want me to do with this information? Nobody's believing me, kind of thing. And because he revealed this to me the first term, and by the second term I was just like, nobody believes me. So God told me it was so that I could pray for people, so that I could pray for conditions, and I could pray for what he's revealed to me. So point is that dreams are real. God gives you dreams. Nightmares, on the other hand, can be our own imagination, watching a movie or just being under stress, or having our own fears. We create our own nightmares, because God doesn't give us nightmares, but he will give us messages. And you'll know the difference the more you have the dreams, whether God's speaking to you or you just fell asleep with the TV on, or have an overactive imagination, ate too late, drank too much, or whatever, to drugs. Whatever the case, you'll know the difference. God will reveal it to you. As far as your drug use, don't feel condemned. Especially now, it's a very high-minded society. God wants us to be sober-minded for several reasons. And the problem is, once we've done drugs, we can be left with the consequences of that sin. Similarly to another video that I said, that if you are promiscuous and God brings you out of that, sometimes you're left over with the consequences, such as an STD or AIDS particularly. You can't get rid of that. And God could heal you supernaturally, but this is still earth, and there's still consequences to those things, and that's what we have to deal with. The same thing can be for my decision to marry my husband. Me going through this pain could just be consequences of those choices. Having done drugs, your mind can play tricks on you, or it can be broken, or it can have challenges, or it can still have residual drugs in your mind. As a result, I say drugs in your mind because your mind has a lot of memory, and it can mimic those feelings when it wants to get you to redo the drug. There's a lot of research that exists that after a person stops doing meth, they still have 3 years of mapping in the brain that remains. And so really, even if you go sober, you still have 3 years of sobriety to go before your mind forgets what it's like to be high and doesn't, want to reward you to want to get high again, So, but what I will share about my personal testimony is that when I was doing drugs, because I did drugs for a good 5 to 7 years, and it was like crack, coke, ecstasy, speed, meth. I've tried meth, like smoking it. I'm not proud. I'm just making lists because you made a list, and I'm not trying to boast. Like, drugs are no joke. Some people overdose on just one try. So just because you see people trying it and survive, I wouldn't try it out there if I were you listening to this that have never done drugs. Just stay away in general. But when I did do the drug, I remember I would pray. There was a time that I almost overdosed, and God kept me from overdosing by instructing me on what to do. And but yeah, I remember praying to him a lot. Even though I was doing it, I would pray, and I think people would call me a hypocrite. But what I can say is I believe it's having prayed during those times that allowed God to reach into my life and just pluck me from that situation. Literally, I was in the midst of a weekend partying with doing other things that I'll testify, give testimony about later, that I shouldn't be doing, but also, drugs. And I remember waking up not having a desire for it anymore, at all. And when I say not having a desire, it was literally, I still had the desire. I wanted to do it. I wanted to have fun. Day 2, day 2, ready to go on a 3-day party binge. But day 2 was no. No matter how many drugs you do, it's not going to have any effect on you. You're not going to feel the high. You're not going to, and it's not going to give you any satisfaction. And that's exactly what happened. And I remember doing everything and thinking I'm not getting any satisfaction. And I knew that it was God. It wasn't even a question. It was oh no, God doesn't want me to have any fun anymore. And I remember thinking, no, I'm going to still have fun. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to keep trying. And I did for the rest of that day, and nothing, everything kept being fruitless. And I was at the end of the day, I gave in to him, and I said, okay, God, I get it, you don't want me to do drugs anymore, thank you for doing that for me. And never wanted it after that. I think I might have tried it, I know I tried it once, I want to say again. Why did I do it? It was stupid too. I'd have to share that that testimony again, but it never had any effect. Never again. Actually, yeah. Now I remember. He reminded me. It was twice. But yeah, I'll share those times and why that happened. But as far as the actual effects of it, none. It was crazy. No, and I didn't have withdrawals or anything. Now, I did have withdrawals to something else, but I'll talk about that another time. And it just goes to show that addiction can be different for everybody. You could do one thing and not be addicted, and do another and be fully addicted. So I was not addicted to drugs, and I believe it's because I prayed well. Through my experience, and God protected me, and he plucked me out of it. Literally, he plucked me out of that situation, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I didn't have any of the withdrawals for that, and I'm thankful that I no longer want any of that stuff. It just doesn't even the thought doesn't even like, it's not at all appealing. Unlike that day that he did it, where I was like, no, I still want to do it, and the desire in my heart just wasn't being fulfilled, and I'm thankful. So for you, I hope you get an answer as far as like, yes, your mind can be affected several years after you stop, but you be encouraged, and the devil will try to make you feel shame. The devil will try to remind you that you like it, and you just rebuke all those things in the name of Jesus, and you keep reaching to Jesus, you keep praying to Jesus, like you just let him fight it for you, you know, because our fight can be different, and you can also start to look at the reasons why you did it. You know, what was so hurt about you that you turned to those things. I've never been addicted to painkillers, but I have a lot of pain, and God has been able to sustain me through the pain. What I could tell you about painkillers is once you take them, when you stop taking them, that pain comes back even stronger. And it's not that the pain was stronger to begin with or is stronger when you stop. It's just that your mind is now no longer tolerant of that level of pain, when at one point it probably could have tolerated it. I'll explain it later in another video because I got to get into work. But yeah, I hope this information was helpful for you. I'll try to do more details later. Yeah, sorry that I have a cold and I kind of feel ugh, but I hope it helped. All right, have a good day.